losing yourself in love, forgetting who you are. To love so much and so deeply that you end up being consumed by your partner to such an extent that you leave friends and even family behind. Has this ever happened to you? We explain why this happens and what you can do about it. Some relationships overshadow, drown you. They draw you into a kind of obsessive passion where you forget where you came from and where you are going. The only thing that matters to you is your partner, and reducing your entire universe to just the two of you, to the exclusion of everyone else and everything else. When this happens, you may experience losing yourself in love. It's not like you suffer from total or even partial amnesia where you forget yourself. It is not a clinical disorder that appears in diagnostic manuals. But the experience is very similar to brainwashing, as you feel confused and have altered thoughts. You might even change the way you are. Some relationships make you prioritize your partner so much that you lose your relationships with your family and friends. These love affairs are like black holes, consuming every fiber of your being, erasing your values, and diluting your own character to become more committed to your partner. Living in this dreamlike state is not good in the long run. Many of us believe that we will never lose our dignity for anyone, least of all in love. But regardless of our experience or social situation, we can all find ourselves in a toxic and dependent relationship. It is a common experience. Losing yourself in love is a phenomenon that materializes in the early stages of a relationship. Losing yourself in love, what it is and why it happens. There are many victims in the game of love. There are e.g. those who are subject to their lover's will, while others are particularly adept at dominating their partner. One would think that those who end up in painful and dependent relationships are weak with little personality. However, the reality is quite different. In fact, all people are susceptible to ending up in relationships based on dominance and emotional dependence. It doesn't matter how old or at what stage of your life you are. The fact remains that some types of love are blinding and gradually erase your own personality and strengths in favor of the other person. Under these circumstances, it is really easy to forget your own priorities and your self-respect. Losing yourself in love is a phenomenon where you become subject to a foreign will. The passion, emotional intensity is so strong that only your loved one matters. Dimensions such as work, family or friendships come second. Furthermore, you might even be able to leave them alone if there is a conflict of interest. Your partner will always and in all circumstances be a priority. Moreover, you even put them above yourself. Nothing matters more than your dazzling love. It swallows everything. Sometimes you can distance yourself so much from your own personal essence of love that you stop recognizing yourself. To become we and lose oneself in love. There are some situations where we becomes more relevant than I. It is obvious that being a couple involves creating a common space where you can strengthen bonds, make agreements and share values and goals. But the moment identities are diluted, and individual needs no longer matter, everything goes to waste. This phenomenon is explained by the concept of relationship contingent self-esteem, RCSE. Research conducted by the University of Houston, USA, claims that this means that a person's self-esteem depends solely on their own relationship. In other words, they only have a positive view of themselves if their partner reinforces it. This is harmful, because when your self-esteem does not depend on yourself or on the outlook you have on your social or work life, your psychological balance is split. In reality, you are caught by someone who has you in the palm of their hand. You can enjoy good self-esteem until you fall passionately and obsessively in love. At that point, your happiness is captured by your relationship, and it becomes the absolute epicenter of your entire life. This is where your fortress begins to crumble. Losing yourself at having a false illusion of happiness. Is a study by the University of Southwest China claims that falling in love intensifies the regions of the brain associated with reward systems. The regulation of emotions changes, and there is greater motivation to focus exclusively on the loved one. These mechanisms are really similar to those experienced by an addict. The brain only thinks about being close to the other person. The rest often loses value, priority. Losing yourself in love is another process in this kind of emotional addiction. It implies that you forget who you are in order to be the other. The most dangerous thing is to assume that this way of life gives absolute happiness. Gradually, however, one ends up realizing that living on the periphery, excluded from one's own being and one's own values, fills one with emptiness. Because you are not just a lover, you are a friend, a family member, a work colleague, a person full of your own dreams and individual desires. If you lack these dimensions, you will never find true happiness. Being a partner implies that you respect and promote the other's individuality. This means knowing that they must be allowed to grow in scenarios beyond the relationship. How to prevent losing yourself in love. Your brain is programmed to fall in love and feel the maximum euphoria of romance and passion. You need to make connections with others to be happy. You just have to be careful, as these bands should not have chains, but wings, so you can grow in all directions, emotional, personal, work, etc. As a rule, one begins to lose oneself in love in the early stages of a relationship. This is the moment when you want to please your partner excessively. You want him/her to love you, you want to make him/her happy, and this leads to you losing your individuality. Almost without realizing it, you become an extension of your partner in your attempt to please him/her. You must avoid that at all costs. If you want to avoid becoming dependent on your partner, you need to actually make it clear who you are and what you want in the early stages of the relationship. Loving doesn't mean you have to please your partner all the time. Healthy love means sharing, respecting both of your identities, and encouraging each other's development. It also involves creating a we, consisting of a you and an I, but an I that remains completely free and independent.